First, security forces confront the November 21 Millions March right up to the moment that a political declaration was signed by the military junta and Prime Minister of the former transitional period, Hamdok. The November 21 Millions March took place on schedule, and the resistance committees continued to raise their slogans behind their three main demands: no to negotiation, no to partnership, and no to legitimating the rule of the military junta. As preparations for the protests were underway, however, there were already indications that the formerly deposed Prime Minister Hamdok had come to an agreement with the junta against the demands of the protesting masses. For the first time since the coup of the 25th of October, demonstrators recognized that there was no military presence on the bridges connecting the Khartoum Triangle, which consists of Khartoum North, otherwise known as Bahri, Durman, and Khartoum City. This constituted a break from the policy of the junta coup of closing the bridges connecting the three cities so that marchers cannot reach the center of the capital city, Khartoum, from Durman and Bahri. Though something seemed different, many were shocked and angry when they found out that it was because a political agreement had been signed between Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok, who came out of house arrest, and the military junta, led by Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, despite the resolute demands of the streets to ensure a political process that does not confer legitimacy to the junta and one which refuses to concede or bargain with them. Because the announcement of the agreement coincided with the Millions March, protesters rejected and condemned the agreement. They also demanded a transition to full civilian democracy instead. Protests in Bahri, Durman, and Khartoum aimed to combine together in the capital, but tear gas was used to disperse them before they could achieve this goal. A 16-year-old teenager was even shot dead after the agreement was signed. The continued violence that protesters faced, even in the mere moments after the agreement was signed, stood in stark contradiction to the justification the Prime Minister and his supporters used to support the agreement, namely that it would prevent more bloodshed on the streets. Now we'll turn to the details behind Hamdok and al-Burhan's political declaration, which restores their previous partnership. The transitional Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok and junta leader General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan signed a new political agreement that was issued under the authority of the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. The agreement contained 14 articles, which were not limited to the following: a demand that the two signatories of the agreement see to it that the constitutional document ensures the participation of all components of society except for the dissolved National Congress Party of Omar al-Bashir. A joint affirmation that the form of partnership between civilians and the military is a guarantor of peace and stability. A call to investigate violence conducted by civilians and military personnel during the events from the coup to the moments leading up to the partnership. And a proclamation to cancel the decision by the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces to relieve the transitional Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok. Furthermore, speaking to Al Jazeera later in the day, Hamdok claimed that the partnership will ensure that free and fair elections are still on track to take place in 2023. Political parties, bodies, and civil entities have declared their total rejection of the new political agreement. The Political Bureau of the Sudanese Communist Party issued a statement rejecting the agreement altogether, declaring that the Sudanese people should renounce any return to the conditions prior to October 25th and continue to demand that no agreement, no partnership with, in their words, killers, should be used as recourse by political authorities to block the path that is necessary to bring the revolutionary aspirations of the Sudanese people into fruition. The party also maintained that the Juba Agreement, which the transitional authorities oversaw, had failed to achieve peace and that it was perhaps time to return back to the drawing board. The Communist Party concluded its statement by demanding that everyone stand firmly against the agreement and those who prepared it, and to adhere to all forms of peaceful civil struggle until the overthrow of the junta. For its part, the Sudanese Professionals Association announced that the agreement is merely an invalid attempt to legitimize the recent coup and the authority of the military council, and that further, it constitutes political suicide for Dr. Abdullah Hamdok insofar as his name is attached to it. The SPA also declared on Sunday that the points of agreement that the two parties came to go against the aspirations of the Sudanese people and amount to nothing more than ink on paper. The statement denounced the agreement as treacherous and in line with the expressed goal of the putschists to re-empower the loyalists of the Bashir regime and the remnants of his surviving security apparatus. The Sudanese Professionals Association declared the agreement to be a betrayal towards the legacy of the martyrs of the December Revolution, both before and after the coup of October 25th. The statement ended with the following: "We call on all of the forces of the revolution committed to the three declared no's to expand their forms of coordination and to ignore the calls to retreat and isolate the forces of the revolution from each other." The National Ummah Party, which had been one of the first parties apparently privy to the agreement, issued a statement on the morning of when the leaks of the agreement were circulating on social media, largely by them, to clarify and claim its expressed rejection of any political agreement that does not address the roots of the crisis produced by the military coup, and its desire for all of those who killed revolutionaries in the streets to be held accountable. The party alleged in its statement that it will not be a party to an agreement that does not meet the aspirations of Sudanese revolutionaries and the people. The party also expressed its supposed confidence in the valiant and victorious resistance. The party claimed that it has always stood among the ranks of the people and is a protector of their legitimate struggle. The Sudanese Congress Party also issued a statement stating 7 reasons that they rejected the political agreement. Among the most prominent of these reasons is that the agreement did not address the political crisis Sudan faces from its roots, and that Dr. Hamdok has neither the authorization nor goodwill from the Sudanese people to sign an agreement with the junta. It declared, therefore, that the agreement was in fact an illegal act. The statement also maintained that the agreement breached the necessary requirements of objectivity and truth by describing the military coup as a course correction and attributing the cause of Sudan's crisis to its political parties, a narrative that only serves to justify the rationale of the coup in the first place. The statement confirmed the Sudan Congress's party's rejection of the agreement, as well as their continued resistance to and opposition to the coup by peaceful means until its overthrow.